Now, mic-wise as well, obviously, as I say, we are all far too familiar with Zoom now. So when you're not talking and when you're not making a point or anything, if you can make sure your mic's turned off, that means that the audio doesn't get interrupted and we don't get dogs barking over anyone in the background or kids screaming or anything else, or unruly work colleagues, because I'm sure I know some of you are in your workplaces right now, which is also lovely to see. Now, the format for our live event is going to be led by myself, supported by bid manager Jason Maxwell, and of course, wingwoman Max Freer from One of a Kind, and of course, most importantly, you lot as always. So we have an absolutely bumper Met Live tonight, which means we've given it a new name. We're calling it Met Live Extra. It's very inventive. We stuck another bit of we stuck extra on the end of it because we are running to 5:15 this evening. We thought we're going to give it an extra 15 minutes because we've got so much good quality contributors and material to get through this evening. Our guest contributors tonight include Alison Preston from the NECC. We've got Jennifer Tomlin, once more, the Communications Officer at Stockton-on-Tees Borough Council, Stockton. If you want, you can wave when I mention your name. It's very much like Eurovision. You can sort of go, yes, wait here. Matt Boxall's back again, the General Manager of Wellington Square and Castlegate Shopping Centre. We've got Joe Agar from Stockton Globe. I can't wait to speak to Joe again because I'm looking at some fantastic pictures on LinkedIn this week. It's all very exciting. Now, Carol Sanderson's here from the Newcastle Building Society. Michelle Ball from the Butterwick Hospice. We'll be chatting to her later. And also Jane Campbell of Hi-Fi Sound. Delighted to have Jane with us. We're going to be doing a special little new feature that will be involving Jane later on in the programme. So the format tonight will take a wider conversation with our contributors, commenting on topics from small business community to our high street to the third sector. And as always, we are brought together by the instrumental whirlwind and force behind Stockton Met, shaping the conversation that's changing Stockton High Street, is business leader Jason Maxwell of Stockton Business Improvement District. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, there's lots of other new people with us this afternoon and lots of new people as well. So our topic sort of starting this evening is how do businesses bounce back from COVID-19? You know, the post-COVID-19 slump. Now, as Boris Johnson is preparing to announce his roadmap out of England's lockdown on Monday, we're all waiting with bated breath to see what happens. From getting children back to their desks in schools to reopening pubs. Yeah, we might get a beer in a pub. That'll be amazing. Speculation is obviously rife as to which measures could be eased. And it's been a tough time for business. I don't need me to tell you this. But what we have seen is new ways of working that have been developed by small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs. And they've sort of got business advisors believing actually many could bounce back stronger than ever. We've seen new technologies, new innovation, and more flexible working practices that looks like it's going to really help small businesses return, and not just return, but return to growth as well. And obviously Stockton Bid continue with their business and marketing plans on the premise to be prepared for the unprepared. I think we've all learned that lesson now. That's what we need to be doing at the minute. And also to roll with sort of uncertainty. Their focus in the main is what they can do each day to work with new people to support the levy member and wider community. And how do they continue to attract new business and customers into the town? Now, high streets are pivoting, to be honest. They're pivoting their offer. And Stockton, as you'll well know, has had its fair share of media spotlight as it unveils ambitious and bold plans. And Jen Tomlin, who I mentioned before from the council, will update us on a lot of that shortly. We're also delighted to have Karen Shields with us at the Met today. Lovely to see you, Karen. If you give us a wave, Karen, I can see you there. Karen is membership manager for the Association of Town and City Management, which is a UK-wide membered organisation that promotes towns and cities. But before we speak to Jen, or before we speak to Karen, we are going to head over to Jason Maxwell, manager for Stockton Bid, for the news from the street. Jace, we are well past Christmas now. It's a distant memory. We're hurtling into spring. There's even been a bit of sun the last few days, which has been incredible. There's a few plants coming through the ground and everything. It's weird. We don't know what's going on.
My hair's growing back.
The hair's growing, absolutely, which is that's a miracle in itself, Jace. What's your hope for the easing of lockdown? How critical is it that Boris gets this one right?
My hope is a beer. I'll be honest. This week, my hope is a beer. Um, we have to get this right this time, to be fair. And I would personally, I would rather see us stay in a lockdown for another couple of weeks, and to make sure that we don't have to go through the current situation again of another lockdown and it growing and those types of things. We have to get it right. I know, there has to be transform as well. I know we're going to talk about transformation of the high street and things like that shortly, which is be much more interesting listening to Jen than it will be to me. But we have to transform things like business rates and those types of things. And it's those types of things that will help us get out of the slump that we're currently in, I think. There's noise about Tesco's and the big businesses wanting business rates reform, but I'm not sure whether they're just shouting about it now because Amazon have come into the market, because they weren't shouting about it 10 years ago when the little people and the little players were all shouting about it as well. So there has to be transform, and I think there will be. We've got lots of businesses that are still struggling massively, and I don't want to go over all ground and say that that's what's happening, but they are. But I think over the next few weeks, once children start to go back to school, which we hope that they will, I think it'll take a lot of pressure off people and will allow people to drip back into the high streets and back into work. And that's really, really what I'm hoping and praying for, to be honest. From a bid point of view, it's been a hectic couple of weeks. As some people will know, some people won't know. This is our final year of our 5-year term. I can't believe it's been 3 years nearly for me, or 5 years for the bid. And I was involved at the start. So we're going for election in May. So we are currently getting our business plan ready to go to the Secretary of State this week. So we've got a lot of that type of thing going on in the background. We've got an employee assistance program about to launch. We're doing Indy Street Heroes #2 and High Streets of the Humans 2. It doesn't stop. And it's just fantastic that the amount of work and effort and seeing everybody come together, which is really heartening, to be honest. We had our levy social earlier in the week, which are just for our levy members, where we saw people like Jane be involved in that and input greatly. It's just massive to see those guys involved, and it's really heartwarming. So long may that continue, but yeah, he has to get it right. But yeah, enough from me. I want to hear all the plans from the Stockton Council, because they're on Newsnight tonight, I believe, at 10:30. So we have to watch out for that. BBC 2, 10:30. There's lots coming. So Jen, don't panic about that. But I want to hear all about that. Forget about me. I want to hear from Jen. She's panicking, but it looks amazing. And Matt as well. Sorry, Matt sat there quietly, but Matt's got a big part to play in it as well. And it's just going to be amazing. And I am so excited about the transformation that's happening.
Okay, well, we shall come to Jen and Matt later. As you say, very exciting about being on the TV tonight. If anyone's got anything to throw into the conversation, I should add, by all means, raise your hand. If I can't see you or anything, maybe pop it in the chat box. If you open up the chat box at the bottom of the screen, I will try and get your messages as we go through as well. If you don't want to, wade in and talk on screen, because I know some people prefer not to, you can always throw it in there, and that will bring you into the conversation. I know Sam would like to mention something as well.
If you go onto the bottom of your screen on the far right side next to end call, there's a smiley face emoji with the reactions, and then you can raise your hand and it puts a little hand mark next to your face if you'd like to, or you can do a thumbs up if it's easier, or just in case you don't want to interrupt or anything, it might be a nice idea. Sorry.
Excellent. I've noticed that you can also see party streamers as well there. So if you're having a great time and maybe having a couple of cocktails, put the party streamers in there as well. So thanks, Sam. Now, moving forward, obviously, by all means, drop those into the chat box. We're going to hear from so many contributors tonight. I want to bring in Alison Preston first from the NECC, responsible in particular for small business. Now, Alison, the coming year is going to throw up unique challenges for SMEs after 2020 brought its own elements of rapid change and pivoting. Many are, I guess, kind of better prepared for whatever is going to come next in a way. And digital has allowed many businesses to adapt their offer, quickly and quicker than certainly they could in the past. From your experience and speaking firsthand to Tees Valley's SMEs, what's their number one concern sitting top of the mind for this community at the moment?
Well, thanks for that, Matt. Obviously, it's a really broad question and not one that I would normally answer in my role. So I have asked our policy team the question, and if it's all right, I'll just read through their response. Obviously, it really very much depends on the sector they're involved in. And so I'll go through some sectors and then some generic points. So retail and leisure, undoubtedly this sector has been most affected by the pandemic, and it will come back. And when we're unlocked, we're likely to see some significant demand as people venture out again. And the difficulty here will be cash flow. Obviously, it costs a lot to restock, probably for about 10K for even a modest restaurant. And companies may not have the cash to be able to reopen. So we may lose some businesses, but it's a resilient sector and there's always new entrants into the market. We'll just have to make sure they're supported as much as we can and put the right help and advice in place. And on the retail side, many retailers have embraced digital as the way through the pandemic. And this was a trend before, but one which has probably been much more accelerated by this. Most independents will find a hybrid model which suits them, and some will shift online. But the key obviously is to get shoppers to value their local town centres and to support retail, to give physical retail a fighting chance. On the manufacturing side, this obviously varies massively by sector, but most have managed to trade through with servicing clients. We've seen some issues with supply of components and raw materials, and the issue here is likely to be more likely, not the pandemic, but more likely the effects of Brexit. And we haven't really begun to see the full effects of that yet, but this will become more apparent over the next coming months. So on to the generic issues. So spending, really no one knows how consumers will react to the end of the pandemic. And we know there's likely to be pent-up demand, but what's less likely easy is to predict what the consumer behaviour is going to be like in the medium term. Many people have saved through the pandemic, many will have struggled, and much will depend on how secure people feel in their employment. If people decide to sit on the cash and see rainy days ahead, then that could put us in a downward spiral and recession becomes self-fulfilling. But a lot will depend on the perceptions of bounce back. Many consumers and companies will have debts to pay back, obviously, at the end of 21-22, which will have an effect as well. If we look at skills, there's a looming skills gap, which might be an issue, and it's a feature of all recessions. Around 5 years later, there's a huge skills shortage because no one invests in training in lean times. So we're in danger of a lost generation of school leavers, and we're seeing a dip in apprenticeships and training at the moment. This always impacts more on SMEs as wage rates increase and we get poaching of staff by larger employers as well. And then changing work patterns. Nothing is going to be the same in the world of work. Some employers will come back to offices, but most won't, at least not full time anyway. And this is going to have a huge effect on the office market and the city centre service industries. So it's important more than ever to help businesses, and obviously the Chamber will continue as best they can supporting our businesses in the area. Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Alison. I think, as you say, it's a hard question to answer. I kind of hung it out there and said, what's everyone worrying about? And you're like, well, where do we start, Matt? Because there's so many different aspects of it. There's so many different types of industry as well, with different questions. It's just interesting to hear, I guess, the things that some people aren't thinking of and other people are, but certainly, consumer behavior is certainly one which I think a lot of people are trying to predict and stuff. So some really interesting points there. Thanks so much for coming along this evening, Alison. It's always good to see you and always good to hear from you. Now, Jace, speaking about digital, then, Alison just touched on sort of digital offerings from business as well. The bid's just launched Shop Indy Street Stockton, which is direct to your inbox. Can you tell us a little bit more about that sort of? I mean, it's a fantastically clever digital idea, really.
Yeah, we've one of the things that we came up with was an idea to actually put the independent businesses directly into people's inboxes. So if they can't go out and find them, I guess we'll take the businesses direct to people. And it was a clever stuff that Max and Sam and the guys who came up with. And we'll run it across different areas. So if it's Valentine's Day, if it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, what we can do is it gives us the opportunity to promote the independent businesses regardless of what the special occasion is, never mind if there is a special occasion or not. We'll promote the businesses, but what it does do is it'll give a link directly to the businesses, either Facebook page, web page, Instagram page. So it gives us direct traffic to those businesses, and that's exactly what we're needing to be doing at the moment. Some businesses have great social media and get people and drive traffic to them themselves. Others not so, and it's all of those that we're trying to do, and we're trying to drive spend back to those businesses. There's loads of things out there like Shop Happy and Roam Local and all these different things, and we're just doing our little bit to try and put the businesses right in the heart of people's inboxes if people can't get into town.
Brilliant. And is there, if someone's interested in getting involved in that, is it just get in touch with you, Jace, or get in touch with Max at Ook, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone follows us on LinkedIn, we put a post out about the other day that you can link and subscribe to that. I'm sure Sam will put the subscription and how you subscribe to it on the chat button that people can click through and have a little look through. Or by all means, get in touch with us, because we'll always try our very, very best to get back to everybody with those types of information, no problem.
Awesome, because I do think it's one of those things where, as you say, some businesses fantastic at social media, they have the time to do it. Other SMEs, you know, they're like, hang on a second, I'm busy trying to run a business, I'm busy trying to recover from a pandemic, I haven't got time to worry about the social media. But obviously it's an important aspect of reaching people at the moment. Absolutely, and it's another way that people can buy and purchase things through them. It's like a lot of independent businesses are within their own little bubble, to be fair, and it might be that they're just a one-man enterprise. I mean, we talk about SMEs and people think that there might be 5 or 10 or a number of different people involved in that, but you'll see people around this table that don't have large teams of people working for them, and that's where they need someone like a Bid that can do that type of thing for them if they need it. I'm not saying that. We've got June, for example, that's here from Juicy, that's sat there, that gives a little wave. Now, June is brilliant at doing all of those types of things, but she doesn't have 1,000 people working for her that can do lots of different things. So she has to do all of that on her own. And if the Bid can help on just one of those little things, absolutely we'll do that for you. And this is certainly one area that we can. Brilliant. Thanks, Chase. We shall come back to you a little bit later on as well. Now, you may have seen, obviously, the Stockton Council featured heavily last week in the national media for their bold and ambitious plans for the total borough of Stockton. So fortunately tonight, we are joined by Jen Tomlin from Stockton Council, who's going to tell us a bit more. As Jace mentioned earlier, this is the one we want to hear about, the showbiz members of the council on Newsnight tonight, 10:30, BBC 2. Jen, it's been an exciting week, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's been amazing. You know, I think a lot of us were really kind of expecting this to have a really, you know, we'd seen a lot of the CGIs around kind of in the build up to Christmas and then post Christmas, and I think when we really saw the kind of visuals around that and what this could potentially look like, just really the development from the imagery from probably previous years of what you've seen, the kind of the scale of the development and the progress of that development's just come on such a long way, and really excited to be able to kind of unveil it going forward for everyone to see. And I think that really from a media perspective as well, it's really gained a lot of national attention as well, which is obviously great news for the area, great news for Stockton. I think that, you know, we as a council, we've always had this vision to provide, you know, a vibrant modern town centre for the future, and it's something that's been on our radar for a long time. It's not just kind of something that's in the near future now. It's took years of kind of investment and regeneration, but I think that getting that kind of national recognition from obviously lauded critics, etc., to say that, you know, Stockton really is paving the way for the future of the high streets and the future of town centres is just a really good way of kind of saying, yeah, you know what, we have got it right and this is definitely the right thing to do. So I'm sure everyone else will agree as well. I'm hoping everyone's seen the coverage, by the way, as well.
Well, do you know what, Jen? I mean, we've been crowing on about it in the Met and throughout, you know, Jace at Stockton Bid's been shouting it through a megaphone for the last however long, saying, look, you know, Stockton is leading the way in town centre development. And we've all known it. What's great to see is the sort of national recognition that is now coming from it. I mean, as if you need to tell us, but can you give us a brief overview of how the cabinet proposals have been received? I'm guessing it is all positive, really.
Yes, so from a kind of a public facing point of view, obviously media wise, audience wise, kind of the renowned and comments have all been really, really positive. I think that's probably one of the first for me in a comms role where I haven't really seen that many negative comments or kind of even just neutral comments, which is amazing. The cabinet meeting to approve the proposals is actually happening in about 3 minutes. So that's probably, if you hear emails going off or whatever, that's probably why, because it's my background. So yeah, fingers crossed that everything kind of, you know, is goes through smoothly, and then the kind of the costings, etc., will go to full council next week as well. And then my hope is that the next conversation, our director of town centre investments, Richard, will be able to come and present to you guys and maybe give you kind of a, you know, a really kind of round trip full tour of everything that's going on with regards to Stockton, but also our other town centres as well, because this is very much a, you know, a borough-wide initiative. Stockton obviously is kind of, I think, the showpiece in terms of visuals. I think that is the one thing where you look at it and you think, wow, that is a massive, massive change, just because of the kind of sheer physical scale of the demolition and the sheer change of use of land. But we're very much kind of conscious of the fact that this is, you know, a borough-wide initiative, and it's about changing all of our town centres to make them fit for the future, not just Stockton. And I think that the kind of impact and the waves of the effect of Stockton will have a great impact on all of the other towns as well. Whether we mention, you know, like about, you know, the restoration of the Globe, the Hampton by Hilton Hotel, all of those kind of initiatives, that then brings the whole kind of picture together of quality of place and why this is the right thing to do from a kind of accessible space point of view and a cultural point of view as well.
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, that the vote is happening today, right now. So as you say, we'll hopefully get some good news there. I mean, it looks incredible. You know, the fact that you've got the urban park, which is 3 times the size of Trafalgar Square, the land bridge, which just sounds absolutely fascinating. You know, I think it's gripped everyone, certainly on a local level. It's great to see it gripping everyone on a national level as well. And I really do think it's sort of pushing forward and showing other high streets and other town centres what they can do. Jace, I know you raised your hand there. I imagine you want to come in.
It was just coming just a little bit. I mean, I was lucky enough that Jen showed, and Mark Bold, who a lot of you will know, showed me the plans last week just before they went out, which I'm always grateful to see these things.
I think that was the quietest I've ever seen you, Jace.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I got to see the views of them, and it was absolutely amazing. And I always talk about Stockton Town Centre and Stockton Bid, but I think on this occasion we can applaud council because we talk about Stockton as a borough, because we don't normally talk about Norton and Billingham and Thornaby and the outlying towns, if that makes sense. But they will be transformed as well as part of this entire scheme. So yes, it's about Stockton, which is brilliant for us and brilliant for a bid. But for the Tees Valley and for Stockton Borough, this is absolutely transformational. Like the stuff that's going on in Billingham and the change of some of the realm in Norton as well is just fabulous. So, you know, I can't speak highly enough of the work that's gone on into this. And, you know, 5 years' time, hopefully, or whenever the work's finished, it's just going to be amazing. And our high street will again be both aspirational and inspirational for people. We will get new entrepreneurs to the town. It will drive communities into town, and it will definitely drive business. So if anybody isn't on board with it, they absolutely should be. And we will see this town absolutely thriving again. No doubt about it.
I think it's
it's fantastic. Oh, sorry, Jem.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. I think JC will probably agree from your side as well. I think one of the really fascinating things for me is that when we were kind of nitpicking through all of the kind of the imagery and the different locations of where everything was, I think there will be a kind of severe change of use in some of the streets. I can't remember which street we were talking about at the time, but you know, one that is probably you would class as a bit forgotten about at the moment, and that's going to kind of become Finkel Street. I think this is going to kind of just really be opened up to the entire kind of urban park area, and I can see that being more like a prime hotspot in terms of town centre environment to what it ever has done in the past. So I think that this kind of opportunity is definitely not one to kind of be oversighted on. It's I think it's an amazing chance for the future, and you know, the realisation of a long held ambition to reconnect ourselves with the River Tees, which is great.
And Matt, his office is going to be knocked down. He sat quietly, but his office is going to be knocked down in the coming years.
I hope you're not offended by that.
I'm not. We're looking at a nice new one over at Wellington Square, so we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, and I mean,
but so you get to pick a new TV, Matt, and stuff like that. You know, you can redecorate.
hopefully, fingers crossed.
And just kind of on obviously Matt being involved as well, you know, we are kind of talking all about this forward thinking kind of attitude to do with opening up the high street to the river, etc. But I think what we shouldn't forget is the importance obviously of sustainable retail in this process. This is kind of one of the reasons why we are undergoing this whole transformational program, is to address the issues with you know, changing customer habits and vacant premises. And I think that working to address that and secure the long-term viability of retail is something that's really important. So Matt is, you know, fully involved in all of this in terms of concentrating our main offering in Wellington Square in the north section of the high street, and I think that's something that will benefit everyone going forward as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen. And Karen makes a very good point actually in the chat, saying the timing of the proposals is so significant. This was all talked about and presented long before the pandemic hit, which is now putting Stockton on the map as it's a place to invest and visit. Karen, I can't agree more, because you know, this just doesn't happen overnight. It's not like COVID happened. We went, oh, let's think of a way to reinvigorate the high street. This was already on the cards, and it's just that COVID has really focused it, hasn't it? It's kind of, you know, the perfect storm of the plans were there. COVID has come in, impacted it even further, and we're kind of ready to go out the blocks while everyone else is still taking off their tracksuits. We're halfway up the sprint track, basically. That's what I like to think, anyway.
No, absolutely, and I think that, you know, other we've had so many kind of inquiries from other authorities asking us to and asking, you know, our councillors to kind of present on working groups going forward, how they can kind of use our expertise to learn from it in a way and provide the blueprint for the future. So I think that, you know, as you say, Matt, it's not just a case of, oh, we've had this light bulb moment, we've been working on it for some time, and I think everyone else is just having that realization now, but we're already there, and we're almost there, and I think it's definitely a way that we can use this to encourage people to learn from us in the future as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Whatever crystal ball they're using in Stockton, absolutely fantastic. And if they can tell me the weekend's lottery numbers as well, that'll be absolutely amazing. Do you know what, Jen? Well, we could talk about this all evening, but we will rapidly run out of time, despite this being the MetLife Extra this evening. I did want to bring up, though, it's not just been a huge week for Stockton in general, but also one of our local market traders, which is McMahon Greengrocers, run by Andrew and Andrea McMahon. They won Best Market Trader in the UK. The whole of the UK at the Market Hero Awards. I'm right in saying that. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, just kind of, you know, I think it's been a really varied week for me in terms of, you know, dealing with something on such a grand scale, and then really just bringing it all back down to, you know, the people of Stockton, and, you know, who these kind of plans really affect and impact, and where it all kind of starts from, really. So yeah, McMahon's have won Best Market Trader in the UK at the Market Hero Awards. I think our market manager Richie kind of nominated them in secret, because he thought that, you know, that their kind of attitude towards the change environment of COVID's just been second to none. So their criteria why they won was because they fully embraced the changes happening in retail, social media, payment options, and also recognise the importance of eye-catching displays. So I think it's just a really kind of key pivotal point, what you've mentioned earlier about adapting in digital change going forward, etc. I think that these guys are just a really, you know, just kind of encompass that feel to adapt digitally in a way to not only survive, but just to enhance your business going forward. And I think that they're definitely the kind of people that will continue that as well in the future. It'll not just be a quick fix of how to kind of digitally adapt their business. It's definitely something that they're going to look to kind of continue to use in the future, whether it's through social media, click and collect services, etc. So I think that just their resilience and everything about them, really, I mean, they've been in the market, I think, since probably around the early 2000s, so they are very long-standing members there. But I think the way that they've just embraced digital change is something that really should be commended, and I think a lot of people can learn from them in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Can I just jump in one more time? I know I do it all the time, and I probably should. I just absolutely love the way that we are so proud, not just only of a Teesside airport or the big businesses, but actually we're all actually beaming with pride over a market stall holder that's won the market stall trader in the best in the UK, that we're all bursting with pride over something that someone would see as this tiny business, but we're just passionate about local business and local people, and I don't think you can put enough sway on that. So well done for everyone involved in that.
Our social media really blew up when we put that on, so I think it shows as well the passion, you know, behind residents as well for this kind of stuff is second to none as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with both of you. I'm sure I echo everyone's thoughts. Is that, you know, airports and things, they're all very exciting, but when it's a small business that everyone visits on a weekly basis and you become friends with them, and then such a great achievement. I think everyone was absolutely over the moon to see that. Jen, thank you so much. It's sort of to have you updating us and everything as always. Now, on that note, actually, of, you know, businesses switching to more digital methods, and I think, you know, if people who are traditionally market traders can do it, and they've never had to do it in the past, and they've managed to switch and become, you know, win such prestigious awards, I'd like to bring in Chris Bibby, who is from Stockton Business Tech Experts Cornerstone Solutions. So Devon in his kitchen. Chris, lovely to see you again. I guess from that, is it fair to say that in this digital era, it's sort of a prerequisite now that all businesses need to be digitally enabled?
Yeah, hi, Matt. Yeah, I do. I think it is, and I think we've kind of got there by default a lot of the time, really. So a lot of companies have actually already moved over, whether they know it or not, whether it's just by uploading expenses to a cloud-based accounting app, or whether they've moved a whole IT infrastructure online, or whether they're using social media better to attract a different market. I think people are kind of doing it without knowing that it's under this big umbrella of digital transformation, which is great. The move to digital has sped up in the past few years, and there's a number of reasons for that. Social media makes everything a lot more, you can access that knowledge so much quicker. You can see what your competitors are doing, what your customers want. The cost of entry into these solutions is reduced hugely as well. Previously, cloud computing used to be a very enterprise solution. Social media accounts were kind of, I'm talking quite a long time ago, they weren't really something that your average smaller business had. But business owners are a lot more aware of what's out there. The cost of software as a service products means that you can dip your toe in without spending tens of thousands of pounds on getting your business there. But the last 3 lockdowns that we've had have massively sped things up as well. COVID's forced businesses to embrace lots of new technologies that they either might not have done for 3, 4, 5 years, or if at all. And especially around remote work, and obviously everyone's heard of SharePoint, Teams and Zoom. But what we found is that now businesses are just accepting this as a piece of a part of day-to-day life. They've got that confidence in these solutions that they were a bit nervous about before, or they didn't understand, to be able to be a lot more open to suggestions about other areas where they can move the business or improve the business or streamline things. So everyone knows what, as I say, what Zoom and 365 are, and have relied on that much in the past year, that I think they're going to be a lot more open to change going forward, which can only help. It makes businesses a lot more scalable. You can be a 2 or 3 man band and have an awesome social media presence and really get some traction, or you can have, as I say, cloud-based applications that just streamline your processes, freeing you up to do your day job. So I think most people have started that transformation, whether they know it or not. But it is going to be really important going forward, especially given what's happened and the fact that most people are going to have a split office and home office working environment, and it's very difficult to manage without them sorts of solutions.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's quite interesting, Chris. I think, as you say, a lot of businesses have maybe made small steps into it. And, you know, if one thing comes out of the last year, people have had to adapt to change, and certainly have introduced things on a digital level. It's basically overnight, wasn't it? Some place. I mean, look at us here at the Met Live. You know, we're doing Met Lives via Zoom. You know, and we used to do it always in our fantastic Hampton by a Hilton. You know, which we can't wait to go back to. However, it's all about that adaptation, and this is I guess a small example of that. But excellent, Chris. Thanks so much for sort of bringing us up to speed on that. Now, a new feature for the Met Live is the SME business in the spotlight, where we sort of big up a small business. I think this is going to be great going forward. I'm really excited to introduce this to to the Met. As we touched on at the top of the event, the coming year is going to throw up many unique challenges for SMEs, but hopefully, as we've kind of mentioned throughout this, that 2020 means that hopefully we're better prepared for it. And behind every small business is an incredibly hard-working team, as many of us well know. Now, this month, our big up goes to Hi-Fi Sound, who are a Stockton Bid Levy member. We welcome business owner Jane Campbell. She's the owner of Hi-Fi Sound. Hi, Jane. You and your team at Hi-Fi Sound, working 7 days a week, I'm told, buying and selling new and pre-loved hi-fi equipment, operating from the fantastic mill building down by the river, as well as processing orders online from various channels. You're also giving advice, taking orders over the phone, making local deliveries, and also collections personally, rather than offering a click and collect service so you can keep your customers and your staff safe. And while you've got a bit of time on your hands, maybe in your lunch breaks, you guys are also just about to complete the Turntable Museum, I hear, which will be opening in the summer. So do watch this space. Jane, you've got to tell us a bit more about the Turntable Museum.
Yeah, sure. So how the business started was because my partner loved turntables, and he had a collection of about, he's got a collection of about 200, 250, which have been in our garage. And so we decided with the business, because this is how we got into the business, that he would, instead of having those packed away, that we would have a museum. But there's been a lot of work to do to get that ready, and we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's hopefully there'll be some news following with that. But just in terms of how our business has been going, we've basically been, as we say, been working hard. We have actually, in terms of our sales have actually increased from last year, up 10%, which we really consider ourselves very fortunate, because a lot of businesses, have obviously struggled. But it's just with the nature of our business that we've managed to do that, because we were already online. That wasn't something new that we had to do. We already had that. And the only thing that one of the main things that's been a problem is obviously people can't come into our premises, which we spent a lot of time and money getting ready. So once we are open, then hopefully people will be able to come back in again and see our, all of the goods that we sell and on display, and also being able to demo things as well. So really, it's just thanks to our team that we've managed to do that, and our suppliers and customers as well. I mean, really, we just need to thank those as well for helping us. But it's a struggle for everybody. But we're getting there, I think. So that's how we are.
Yeah, well, incredible, Jane. I mean, I think you're a wonderful example of the resilience of small business, and not just the resilience. I mean, you've grown in the last year, which is absolutely fantastic. I know Jace wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Hi-Fi Sound. Jane is so supportive of everything that we do as a bid, and to put a spotlight on somebody like Hi-Fi Sound is so worthy. They're such a great business, and if you don't know where they are, they're across down by the river in one of the most beautiful buildings in Stockton, and they've done so much work over the last few years. They were on the bottom part of it, Jane, weren't you? And they've moved to the top floor, and lifts and all sorts of stuff. They have put so much time and effort into growing their business. It's not by luck that these things happen. It's that these businesses work so hard in everything that they do, and should be shouted about from the rooftops, which is what we keep intending to do. So well done, Jane. It's lovely to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Jane, it's been good. Do you know what? It was wonderful to have you as our first SME business in the spotlight. I think you are, I say, a shining example. We'll all agree. I am interested. Did the Turntable Museum, did it mean to happen, or did you just say, do you know what? I actually want to put the car in the garage finally, so get those turntables out there, and then the museum was just born? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's just that he collected all of them and they just weren't being displayed. We've got a double garage full of turntables, and he's actually starting to empty it and bring the stuff here. But we just have to do a lot of work to fit all that in. And actually, he's going to have to sell some of them because he's got too many. It's not the space. Oh. We moved into this space 2 years ago because we'd outgrown the other space we had, and actually I think we've already outgrown this, and we've only been here for 2 years. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. fantastic. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent. I can just imagine you saying, Jane, do you know what? It's either a museum or the skip, so you choose. Let's get it sorted.
Yeah, sure.
Jane, honestly, it's great to have you featured as our first ever SME business in the spotlight. And I hope we'll see you in the Met again anyway. But yeah, thank you very much, Jane. So lovely to have you along, and great to hear that it's doing so well. Now, we've heard some absolutely awesome stuff about being agile, inventive, nimble, creative, digital as well. But what do you do if you are a charitable organisation like the Butterwick Hospice? Now, with a lack of mass participation events, lack of retail, and a lack of face-to-face business meetings, the negative impact has sort of hit all charities' fund streams. And highlighting the bleak, we have Michelle Ball from the Butterwick with us this evening. Now, Michelle has already popped her email into the chat box. If you want to head in there and you can scroll up, Michelle has dropped that in there. But Michelle, the floor is yours. You've got the ear of our group this evening. Can you sort of provide us with one idea a company or an individual could sort of do at home in order to help you guys?
Oh, well, Matt, where do we start? One idea, it's quite tough. Businesses and individuals, really businesses, I mean, that's really my area. Any business that wants to talk to us to find out more about what they can do, what their staff can do, please do drop an email. You know, let's get together over coffee. But really, for anybody, we talk about adaptation and what we've had to do, because we can't do mass participation events anymore, but we still have our infamous big bike ride. So you and your bubble can register and go out and do a bike ride for us. You can do a glow walk on a night time for us. You can become a regular donor, where you, I think it's £7 a month. You can regularly donate to the hospice to help us keep going. But yeah, it's huge. Businesses take a collection box from us, have a collection box there. At home, we do lovely little paper treasure chests. So every time you chaps are emptying your pockets out from change, you put it in your treasure chest and it mounts up very, very quickly. So yeah, I mean, we've had to adapt massively. We do rely hugely on business for our corporate partners, our adoptions, whereby you as a business can adopt us. You know, and that adoption is, so every time you do some sort of fundraising event in the office, in the factory, whatever, then you're raising funds for the hospice. You know, we're huge. We're not a very, you know, we're not a small hospice. We cover pretty much the Tees Valley because we're here at Stockton. Our high street stores in Stockton, we've got 2 of them. They've been shut for pretty much a year, so we've lost all that retail. But we've got the children's hospice here as well. And then it's not just about the hospice, it's about all the support we give. So anything we can get from you guys out there and the wider society, we will take with open arms. So yeah, it's quite a neat. It's had quite an impact this last year. So instead of having 300 people do a bike ride, we've had half a dozen. So right. You can imagine the financial, that is huge.
Absolutely, Michelle. I mean, as we know, that's why we wanted to get you along tonight and just let everyone know that, help is needed really to help with these fantastic services that have become sort of one of the linchpins of our community in the Butterwick, so close to everyone's heart. So as you say, I mean, the bike, hearing the figures on the bike rides, it's heartbreaking really. So if anyone could, get themselves involved in these sort of things and perhaps, feed it out on their socials and also to the staff, because one person doing that bike ride at home, pop it on Facebook, then someone goes, what are you doing? Oh, I'm interested. I'm riding my bike anyway at the minute because I'm doing that in lockdown to help with my mental health. Maybe I could do that for the Butterwick. So, these kind of ideas grow. So if we could help to support Michelle in any way, then that would be brilliant. And you can also, as I say, email Michelle in the chat group. And there's, as Michelle says, there's loads of ideas. There's the bike rides, glow walks. You could just become a regular donor with the business if you didn't fancy getting up and out on the bike and in your spandex and all that. Or also even just having a little treasure chest at home where to put your pennies in. I have a big bottle at home. I'm going to get myself a treasure chest and I'm just going to start putting the coins in there. And that way, anything can help. Michelle, thank you very much for being with us tonight. And I hope that it helps, and I hope we get some people getting in touch with you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Please do.
Absolutely. Now, at this point, I'd like to bring in Carol Sanderson, who is the customer advisor at Newcastle Building Society, who's going to tell us how their organisation is meeting customers' needs, not only regarding their accounts and investments, but by also offering via the on-hand charity that they've teamed up with. So, Carol, we've just heard from Michelle there on the imperative need for our business community to step in where they can in order to help out. Can you give me sort of one example how you guys are doing this locally with Helping Hand?
Yes, certainly. I mean, traditionally, as a society, we used to actually go out and help in the community with, charities like Daisy Chain, Christmas fairs, lots of different events. And obviously that's not possible at the moment. So we've teamed up with On Hand, and it literally is an app that can be downloaded, and we as customer advisors and staff in the Building Society can register as volunteers, and in the same way people would register if they want help as well. So, for example, my manager, branch manager Carrie Ann, she has started doing companionship phone calls to a particular lady, a weekly phone call with someone who perhaps isn't seeing family, given the circumstances. Doesn't get out much, and we are able to do that once a week. Also, our staff can do things like pick up medical prescriptions for people, dog walking, bits of shopping, that kind of thing. So it's really, we are doing it as volunteers to help out, but also we mention it to our customers because there may be some of our customers who feel they want to volunteer themselves. So anyone can go on and find out more information on www.beonhand.co.uk. And it is really, really good way of volunteering in our northeast area. And as I say, it's something that we can do when we can't physically go and help different charities at the moment.
Brilliant. I mean, it sounds fantastic what you're doing, Carol, and certainly, the sort of diverse range of things that you're doing. I mean, I think companionship calls, as you say, it's just something you can get involved with. It makes such a difference to people's lives, particularly at the moment. I know Emma Stories just popped in the chat box saying that's fantastic, Carol, and I think we can all echo that. So it sounds great. So beonhand.co.uk, that's the website we need to head to, Carol, if you want to get involved. Brilliant. Thanks, thanks for joining us and letting us know about that. Jace, I just want to come to you again. You guys are looking at contact giving, am I right in saying? You've been looking at some ways with one of a kind post-March that the bid can do more to take your social and community responsibility to the next level, yeah?
Yeah, well, as part of our business plan for the next 5 years going forward, is we want to include a little bit more about the environment, a little bit more about well-being, and certainly more about the communities. Now, that doesn't necessarily just mean the business community, it's communities that use in our high streets and sort of the wider community, really. One of the things is a bid that it's difficult for us to get involved in a particular charity just because we have so many varied levy payers and everyone has a different charity that's really, really close to their heart, really. But what's really inspiring to see are the people like Michelle and the work that Carol does with On Hand and those types of things, that people are finding different ways in able to help people. Because I think the one thing that we definitely all need to do through this really, really challenging time is to come together as communities. And as I say, whether they are business communities or whether it's the third sector, whatever it happens to be, we need to come together. So one of the things that we are looking at is contactless giving. And it's a very simple idea that it's just a terminal that you can tap your card onto. And that money it's held in a pot and then goes direct to a particular charity. So if someone wants to give money to someone that's begging on the street, for example, but doesn't feel like they should in case they use it for drugs or anything else that isn't great for them, it means that they can go directly to a charity that will help. But it's trying to find the right charity and one that everyone can agree on and those types of things. So it's difficult, but we absolutely do want to do that going forward. But we wholeheartedly support every charity that's doing their bit at the moment and helping communities, because it's so important that we help each other right now.
Oh, absolutely, Jace. And it's interesting to hear about the contactless giving, though, because I think certainly going forward, obviously, chances are people may be carrying less cash on them and various other things. So certainly that being able to to gift just by tapping a card or a phone or a watch or whatever else these days.
And that's exactly the right idea, because you you don't want to be passing money on to people and those types of things, and we want people to get the proper help from the right services that they do, and I think that's really important as well, that the right service gets in front of the right people. So hopefully we can make a difference in doing that going forward.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chase. A little reminder, obviously, if you would like to ask any questions or make a comment on anything, then you know where you can do it. That chat box down the bottom, just open it up, and you can certainly pop in there and ask anything that you would like to. I know Michelle's just dropped the Butterwick website into the group there if you'd like to, if you were looking for that. Michelle, actually, you've raised your little hand. You've put your little hand up on the reactions thing, so I'll bring you in here.
No, it was just the thing about the contactless giving. I am actually new within the Butterwick, one being here for 3 months, and I found out I tend to, because this lack of money thing now, I do not carry money. I'm called the Queen in the office. It's quite entertaining. But I've discovered through PayPal. So every time I pay something in PayPal, I am asked if I want to donate to my charity. And it's an automatic thing. So if something's £19, I round it up to £20. So £1 goes to my charity. And it's the same thing that Jason's talking about, that contactless giving. It's such a brilliant, I want to call it an invention. It's probably been around for quite a while now. But yeah, I'm totally in support of what Jason's saying with that one. And the sooner we can get that up and running for every charity, really, is just brilliant. Because, I think it's such a good idea, and less of us have money in our pocket. So yeah,
absolutely.
I've just
it's great, Michelle. It's great, and that is another as you say, great feature of something like PayPal, which just have the roundup features to donate to charities. And obviously, if you ask Michelle, everyone should make that charity on PayPal, the Butterwick. And I'd like to see you walk around the office, Michelle. I know you carry no cash, and I hear you do the royal wave as well. That's why everyone calls you the Queen. Yes. Excellent. Well, the power of community, as you can see, it's a thread that weaves through our lives and through the business, and particularly the business at the heart of Stockton High Street, and of course our 2 shopping centres who welcome, serve and support their customers. I'm going to head over to Matt Boxall, who's been sat there in his current office before it disappears off the face of the planet. Matt is the centre manager for Wellington Square and Castlegate, obviously 2 of the town's main shopping centres. If you haven't come across Matt before, he's got a rich and diverse background as well in retail, understands how it operates all the way from shop floor level all the way up to board level. So Matt, I guess we'll start with looking at the last month and how you found COVID and yet another lockdown and how it's affected the state of retail.
Things haven't really changed apart from more people are out, and it continues to grow from the last month. The retailers are still struggling. Well, the independents are struggling. We've got the bigger retailers, the Iceland's seeing good growth, the B&M seeing good growth as essential shoppers. Independent retailers are struggling, but there is still, as I said in the previous Met call, far too many people out. Close to Castlegate last week, we had nearly 50,000 people through the doors, which we are now working with kind of the COVID marshals and the council to try and reduce that as best we possibly can, from reducing seating in the malls to reducing dwell time. So there's still lots that can be done. But as I say, at the moment, things haven't really changed from a retail point of view. Obviously, we've lost a few more big retailers, a few more CVAs have come in place with a few retailers. But from a point of view, I suppose from a retail point of view, I just can't wait to get. I echo Jason's points, but I can't wait to get the place reopened, because that's what we need as retailers. And speaking to some of my colleagues that I worked with previously, they just want to get their shops reopened and trading again. It's coming into a good sort of period of time for retail, sort of Easter into the summer, which is usually quite good for a lot of them. We just need to get them open as quick as we possibly can.
Absolutely, and we'll obviously we wait until Monday to hopefully see some form of roadmap where I guess you can start planning for that. Or are you already in a planning phase at the minute as to what's on the horizon?
Well, we're in a planning phase. I'm a planning phase. I'm like Jason. I could murder a pint. I'm sick of my wife cutting my hair now, but no, we're planning to reopen sort of, ideally after the schools go back. I would probably suggest it's going to be around sort of the end of March, beginning of April when we see the non-essential retailers open. And we're starting to put plans in place that to manage capacities, to manage it through safe social distancing in and around the malls, because we want to be at the forefront of what we're doing, and obviously with the help from Stockton Council and the COVID marshals, I'm sure we'll get there.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, it's great to get an update from you. Jace is going to jump in.
Yeah, Matt, you said last time when we were on the Met last time that the footfall was down only by not a great amount. Was it about 20% or 25%?
Yeah, 20%. Yeah. We were actually week on week last week. We were 17% up on the week before. I know we had the snow the week before, but there's just still far too many people just loitering around both centres, using the Wellington Square as a thoroughfare. To have 20,000 people through Wellington Square last week, when
Really?
Yeah, when there's only sort of 6 retailers open, it's just far too many people. So I understand why people need to come out and the reasons why the people come out, but it's every single day that it's the same people in and out and around the town. You see the same faces week day in, day out.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jace. At this point, I'd like to open it up.
Can I just mention one thing that we're doing in Castlegate as part of the community? We've done since before Christmas. We've run a Design Your Own Mask campaign with local schools, and we finally drew our winner last week. And what you'll see around, and a real sort of interest for us, or for me personally, is the community sort of base. So I will touch base with the Butterwick and that kind of thing, see how we can help you with that. But we did this without. We did two mask designs, which you'll see my staff and my team wear now. I don't know if you can see that. That's one of them. They've also been delivered to some of the council gens, so you might be lucky enough to find one of those on your desk. There's one of them.
Yeah, Richard actually sent me a selfie with
good on. So you'll see, this is us trying to do our part, and it's to get a local engagement from schools through COVID and through various lockdowns. To get over 500 entries was absolutely fantastic. So that's the community that I really enjoy talking about in Stockton. It's fantastic.
Brilliant, and that's great to see as well how you've embraced that. I mean, if you'd said to us sort of a year and a half ago there's going to be a campaign where kids are designing their own face masks, I'd laugh at you. But this is wonderful, Matt, and beautifully modelled as well, Matt. To be honest, that one, it's really is something.
I won't have an office next year, but I'll have a mask.
Excellent. Right, Matt, thank you very much as always for joining us. Always great to get an update, and obviously there's so much exciting stuff going on down with the centres now and going forward. At this point, I'd like to obviously welcome up to anyone else, welcome the floor up if anyone else wants to jump in with anything they've got a question on, or whether they'd like to ask one of our contributors something in particular, or just got a burning passion to mention something. If you want to raise your hand and jump in, then you're more than welcome. I know this is that daunting moment where everyone sits on their hands and ignores the fact that I'm talking to you, but I can see you all on the screen. If not, we'll just carry on. And it gives me absolutely great pleasure to welcome back to the Met once more Jo Ager from Stockton Globe, and she's joined this evening as well by the newly appointed Marketing and Communications Manager, who is Rebecca Baker. So lovely to have you both with us this evening. I mean, this is all getting very real, isn't it? There's marketing and communications managers joining the team. I noticed there was an advert for people to do the food and drinks, and the food manager the other week on LinkedIn as well. It's wonderful to see. So Jo, it's exciting times ahead for Stockton Globe. Are you guys getting excited as I am? Because I get sort of a little bit giddy about it every day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very real at the moment. I have to firstly apologise for being very late. I thought the meeting was at 5 o'clock. I'm working on continental time or something, so apologies first. It is really exciting. It's very real, and also it's quite emotional, because we're in such a strange time. So we went into the venue the other day and had a look at sneak peek of the seats are going in next week, and yeah, so it's on track, which is fantastic. And now I've got the lovely Rebecca as part of my team, which is it's a real step forward, and we're frantically now running out the recruitment plan. So we have got the building and technical manager out for recruitment, and a food and beverage manager, and then we'll be putting in kind of a sales and ticketing manager as the next role. So it's very real, and we're getting the keys on the 19th of April. It'd be great. Can I introduce Rebecca and get her to just say hi?
Yeah.
Rebecca, over to you.
Hi, nice to see everyone. I'm recognising a few faces who I've managed to meet virtually over the past couple of weeks, some in person as well. So nice to see everyone. I'm really excited to be on board. Obviously, Jo's been kind of running things all on her own for the past year and a half. So I think she's excited to actually have somebody on board with her beside her through this. So yeah, I'm just very excited to be part of the team bringing the Globe back to life.
Absolutely, and you know, it's lovely to have you along, Rebecca, as well, teaming up with Jo. It's always lovely to have Jo here, but now there's two, and we're like, oh my word, the Globe is almost there. As I say, we've been seeing sort of pictures on LinkedIn, and I guess across all the media. What's you've mentioned a few sort of steps there. How close is it though? Is it, you know, where are you currently? You mentioned there was seats going in and everything else, and is everything going to be ready for when you get those keys in April then?
Yeah, absolutely. The full seating will go in and be kind of signed off next week. It's final fixtures and fittings, so you know, walls are painted and lighting's going in. The beer supply will be, well, the cellars will be going in. The beer supply maybe not just yet. So we're definitely on track, and it's yeah, I think what's lovely about it is everything's coming together from a point of view of the work that happened on the heritage product, but also kind of making it a modern venue. So it's beautiful. It's very unique. I'm trying to think if there's any other key things I can tell you about. Yeah, so I think the recruitment is the main focus, but obviously we've got the wonderful the Link, which is the bar restaurant next door, which will run independently, and that's nearly done. So we've got lots of activity around getting people being able to open the doors and get people to come in and tour the venue. Obviously that's dependent on the roadmap that will be out on Monday, but whatever happens, that you know, it will be up and running, and the timeframes around that will obviously be dependent on guidance, but we do have some opportunities to possibly let people in a bit sooner than ticketed events. So we're kind of working on all of that at the moment.
Okay, but Jo, it's all very exciting, and providing the roadmap allows us, I'm pretty sure a lot of our Met attendees will be the first ones banging on the door, demanding a tour and finding all about it. So thank you, Jo. Thanks, Rebecca. Lovely to hear the update, and as I say, all very exciting times ahead. So as always, for us, before we wrap up at 15:15, I'm going to head over to Jason Maxwell and Max from Ook for our sort of marketing innovations and ideas that we use to support the Levy community, and we're looking to support them within 2021. Jace, we've got lots of exciting digital work happening, haven't we? Can you tell us a bit more? I mean, there's Humans of the High Street Series 2, we've got Indy Street Stories, Shop Indy Street Stockton, loads of stuff.
Yeah, we've had to go digital with virtually everything, just given what we do at the moment. But before I touch on those, can I just say a couple of things first before I run out of time, and if I don't, I'll forget. First of all, welcome to Rebecca, because she's going to be an amazing addition to the to our forum and to the business side of things here. But in the same respect, we're going to lose somebody, which is really, really disappointing, because she's been at the heart of the Hilton since it opened, and I can see her just having a little brief smile there in the corner. We're about to lose Lorna from the Hilton, and I say we as a royal we, because we're going to lose her from the town centre. And Lorna's been such a heartbeat of that hotel, which meant so many people coming to the Hilton, that it's going to be a real loss. But we are, from a bid point of view, we absolutely wish you all the very best, Lorna, in everything else that you're doing. So really, really good luck in what you're doing, and we're very, very sad to see you go.
No, thank you.
No problem.
Big boots to fill, I have to say.
They are big boots to fill. They are big boots. Only a size 12 mine, but yeah. Don't be buying her shoes at that size, mind, otherwise she'll go mad. Just to come back to some of the things that we're doing, I'm going to let Max speak a little bit about them, because we've not heard from Max really this evening, and that's a shame. And probably people get fed up of hearing me, to be honest. But we've done High Streets of the Humans, but when that comes to High Streets of the Humans 2, Industry Heroes, these are all campaigns that are designed to put the spotlight back on to the independent businesses and the people behind the businesses in the high street. You will see them done in slightly different ways. It might sound like similar campaigns, but they're absolutely not. They're just going to be totally different. They're going to be inspirational, and they're going to show people exactly who's behind the businesses. We've talked about the Indy Street Shopping one that's going to be direct to people's inboxes. Sam's put the link up to that, so people subscribe, make sure that you're spending money where you can. But I'll leave Max to talk a little bit about the High Streets of the Humans too, Max, if that's all right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's you always call it High Streets of the Humans. It's Humans of the High Street.
I know.
Yeah. So we created last year. We created a docu-style series of short films. If you go to YouTube and have a look at Stockton Bid the Future's Local, we started to document the pandemic from the perspective of the humans behind these high street businesses, to get their sort of thoughts and feelings. And now we're a year into the pandemic, we're going to go back and film another series of Humans of the High Street series 2, and get an update as to where these businesses are and the evolution of some of those businesses and that journey. So that's really interesting, and that first campaign went really, really well. We got loads of great feedback on that, and we focused that campaign mainly through a business audience. So we didn't do it as a consumer focused campaign, we've done it as a business to business campaign to try and get Tees Valley business operators start looking at Stockton High Street and shopping local. So there was an emotive edge to that. And then at Christmas we launched Indy Street Heroes, which went viral. We had over 150 views on that campaign. And so we're coming into this year, and it's continuation of that narrative, trying to debunk all the negative rhetoric on the high street and really sort of talk about some of the amazing stuff, as Jen was talking about hybrid businesses as well. So we've got Shop Indy Street Stockton, which is a really simple concept that we've developed for Stockton Bid, where we just use all the available marketing channels that are there, and we've created a nice concept where we can showcase different businesses from the high street, as well as the service-led businesses as well. And we can look at things like Fair Trade Fortnight, we can do eco shopping, we can do the Green High Street, we can look at some really compelling reasons to come back onto the high street, such as, you know, lifestyle, when the Globe and things come out, and we'll all try and link it to purchase-led initiatives. So we've got that. We piloted it last week and it went really, really well. So we're going to move that forward. And then we've got Indy Street Stories, and that's really about the evolution of the high street. It's about the 21st century pioneers that are going to come onto the high street, how they view retail, and they very much have got a hybrid offer. So we're now working on doing sort of a filmatic campaign for that, which is really exciting. And yeah, just lots of things on the pipeline. We're very fortunate that Jace gives us a lot of creative remit for me just to go off and come up with these ideas, and then we pipe them through. But I think, as everyone will see, we just work together as a collaborative, and we are the sum of the parts, really. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff. It's very challenging as a creative company to try and get people to be buying stuff in a climate where, you know, we're sort of shut down per se, but very exciting. So yeah, that's it.
Matt, just to jump out, I'm getting shouted at here because I always call it High Streets of the Humans rather than Humans of the High Street. So I'm getting pilloried on private messaging and getting absolutely slaughtered for getting the names wrong. And I should know better. So I should know better, because these two do such a great job for us and pulling all of these things together. And we couldn't do it without all of the people that work with us, from whether it's Max and Sam or John sat there quietly, one of my directors. We've got all of the other directors that do so much hard work in the background to get all of these things off the ground. But for things like, you know, going viral over Christmas, 150,000 views. It's just incredible. But that's the way that we've got to go at the moment with it being digital, and we'll continue to do that until we can get back out into the high street and engaging people in that way. And then we can engage more with Matt and Chantel and the amazing work that they're doing in there with their community work and some of the events that they put on. I just can't wait to see everybody back in the town centre, but we have to do it safely. That's the important thing.
Brilliant. Jace, thank you for that, and thanks Max for sort of rounding off everything that is coming up. I'm sure you'll agree, very exciting, lots on everyone's plate, and it's always wonderful to hear you know, everyone thriving in our Stockton big community. So brilliant. Well, that's us done this evening for the Met Live Extra. We're going to be back on Thursday, March the 18th. So make sure you get your tickets on Eventbrite for that. As always, if you liked this event, then please do share your feedback and tag us in any posts on LinkedIn so we can grow engagement and awareness for Stockton Bid. Bookings, as I say, can be found on Eventbrite. Big thanks to Sam at Ook, as always. She sits quietly in the background, ensuring the Met runs smoothly, from promotion all the way through to booking, all the way through to management of this evening, let us into the room and all that sort of stuff. So thanks so much for that, Sam. Max, as always, for coordinating the event, the content, liaising with our contributors, shaping the narrative and content that bring us all together at the Met. Obviously, a huge big thank you, as always, to Jason Maxwell. It wouldn't be the Met without Jace around. And a big thank you and good luck and stay safe to Lorna as well. Lorna, well, you're going to be a big miss. You know, from the Hampton by Hilton. We're going to miss you here at the Met. I think everyone within the bid community is going to really miss you. So we wish you all the best for the future. And John's crying there. At this point, I'd probably get everyone to give you a round of applause if we were in a room, but we're all on mute, so you'll just see loads of lots of people quietly clapping you, which is wonderful. So Lorna, all the best, and we hope it's not the last we hear from you in the future. In the meantime, we shall see you next month. Everyone stay safe, and thanks very much for being here. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.